welcome to another Marvel Legacy review. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Wolverine, not to be confused with X-Men Origins Wolverine. Despite this being the second solo Wolverine movie, it has no connections to that movie. X-Men Origins is just forget about it. There's no reason for it. So, The Wolverine was released in 2013, directed by James Mangold, starring Hugh Jackman, Tao Okamoto, Rila Fukishima, Hiroyuki Sanada, Will Lee, and Yamanouchi. Look, I'm just trying to get the names right, okay? I'm not trying to be rude, okay? I wrote it down so that I can, try and pronounce it correctly. If I didn't pronounce it right, I'm sorry. So this movie's very much a standalone movie. It doesn't really have much connections to the rest of them. It doesn't really have a big impact on the rest of the X-Men franchise as a whole. It does take place in the original X-Men timeline. Sometime after The Last Stand, Wolverine's on his own, very upset that he killed Jean Grey. He constantly has nightmares about, killing Jean Grey, so Famke Janssen as Phoenix, Jean Grey, has, a couple of minor appearances in the movie, haunting Wolverine. But, yeah, it really is just sort of its own movie. So the story for the movie, like I said, Wolverine's on his own. He's not with the X-Men anymore. He's just by himself in somewhere in Canada, I'm assuming. And he gets contacted by someone from Japan named Yukio. She's a mutant with the ability to see how people die. This is important for later. But anyway, she's employed by a former soldier from World War II named Yoshida, who's rose to power in Japan, who's currently dying. And he wishes to see Logan one last time before he dies. So he convinces Wolverine to go to Japan. He goes to Japan, and he's like, look, I'm dying. You have a healing factor. You saved me in World War II. I can give you the opportunity to take your healing factor, give it to me, so you can live out the rest of your life, eventually die, and I can keep on living. The weird thing about this, though, is that Wolverine just kind of refuses, even though it's kind of what he wants, and I have no idea how Yoshida would do this. It doesn't really make much sense, but it's also a movie about a guy with claws who's essentially immortal, so I think I can forgive it. Anyway, Yoshida dies. One of the doctors working with him, named Viper, poisons Logan, dampening his healing factor, which causes problems throughout the movie. Later on, Shinjin, I think is his name, who is Yoshida's son, finds out that Yoshida is not giving him the company, but is giving his granddaughter the company, Mariko, who's Shinjin's daughter. So Shinjin sends the yakuza after Mariko. Wolverine goes on the run with her to protect her. It's a shame not including Rogue in the movie. I feel like somehow they should have found a way to do it because they have a connection in the original X-Men trilogy, but I understand why they didn't do it. They were originally thinking about it, but they couldn't find a way. But it does lead us to have more of a focus on Wolverine, and I know he's basically been a main character, but unlike X-Men Origins, we actually learn some about what he wants, how he feels about this constant, never-ending life of war and bloodshed, and now that his healing factor is dampened, him on the run with Mariko, they kind of fall in love. He gets a little bit of a taste for mortality for a little bit, before he has to go and rescue Mariko, who gets kidnapped by some ninjas. The final act is where things kind of fall apart here. So like I said, Yukio, she's been helping out Logan a little bit, has the power to see when people die, and she sees that Logan will die holding his heart in his hand. Well, later in the movie, he goes back to where Yoshida was being treated, and using an x-ray thing, finds that one of the things that was helping Yoshida is now in his body, attached to his heart, that was given, I'm assuming by Viper gave it to him. So he cuts it out, takes it out. Obviously, his healing factor's dampened, so he dies, but he doesn't really die, because he heals. He doesn't actually die, but for some reason that's what Yukio saw. And it's not even accurate, because he's not holding his heart, he's holding the thing in his heart. Anyway, he goes to search for Mariko. There's a bunch of, crazy ninja stuff, explosions and motorcycles, and it's a little over the top. And then you get to the end, where Yoshida's actually alive in this mech suit, the silver samurai armor. It just completely, most of the action in this movie is Wolverine versus the yakuza, Japanese gangsters in the streets. And now he's fighting a big robot suit guy, and it's just kind of over the top. Yoshida tries to drain the adamantium from Wolverine, which somehow restores his youth, so Wolverine ends up with the adamantium out of his body. I don't know how that ties to his healing factor or immortality, but Yoshida dies. And Logan says goodbye to Mariko. Him and Yukio get on a plane, and they're like, where you want to go next? And it is, it ends with them continuing their adventures, but there was no intention of ever continuing, so it's kind of a weird ending. The music is nothing memorable. It's good. And the same goes for the effects. Nothing memorable. There's nothing bad. If you watch the Unleashed edition, there's some extra blood added, which is great, because it's Wolverine. He's got claws that come out of his hands, and he's slashing people and stuff. If you're going to show it, just go all in. Have the blood and stuff. It's not, like, completely R-rated, but it's pretty close. Cinematography is great too. It's set mostly in Japan, so you have a lot of cool stuff. So I think that The Wolverine is a pretty underrated movie. A lot of people don't really like it that much. I think it's mostly good. It is brought down by the final act, and that's why I'm giving it my score of great. It's definitely the best Wolverine experience of the movies so far. Whatever your thoughts are, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think. I'll see y'all next time when I review Days of Future Past, which does not really continue much of this movie at all, minus the post-credit scene. So, Mariko and Yukio, they're just kind of gone. Yeah, I told you it's a solo movie, but yeah, that's gonna do it. Goodbye.